Hey, everybody, this is David Petty with another one of our Lenten daily devotionals with CrossFire, Faith and Gaming. CrossFire is an online faith based community of gamers.
And I'm Russ Dornish, and today we're going over day 22 titled Nature is God's First Scripture. So let's just get right into it. In the future, morality will come primarily from the earth and the very nature of the cosmos, not from religion, which hasn't done a very good job up to now. This one planet on which all of us stand will tell us that we must live simple lives and that we must live reverent lives that produce and create instead of merely consume and destroy. And if creation itself is the body of God, the visible revelation of who God is, won't we find ourselves at home again?
This concept of morality and God is not a form of worship, but it does accept the earth as a part of God's self expression, a revelation of the divine nature, and therefore something to be honored. Rejected, no, not rejected, respected, and attended with mind and heart and every physical sense.
And nature itself is God's first, oldest, and clearest scripture. So, our questions for today are: what have I already learned about God from the natural world? And the second question is, how can my life become simpler and more reverent? So, David, what do you think about that first question? And what have you learned from God that comes from the natural world?
Yeah, so actually, one of my favorite scriptures is from the book of Job, where let me see here if I can find. I'm really bad at quoting scripture. Anyway, I'll just paraphrase. From the book of Job, it says, consider the birds and the earth, and all of creation will tell you of God's creation. I think for me, what I've learned about God from the natural world is that there is far more that we don't understand about God than what we do. And that God is far more intricate and deep and intimate and complex and distant all at the same time. Because if you look at the natural world, it reflects a beauty of a amazingly large, complex God. And then I think for us, says we can be simpler. I'll get into that after. I don't know. What have you learned from God from the natural world?
I think it's very similar. It's very interesting to look out and look at the natural world and just see how complex it is. And I think it really helps for me to understand that God is a lot more complex than sometimes we want to make him. You want to think of God as just this like Sunday school caricature of this like good looking white man that with a beard, and that's really all it is. It's just this guy that says he loves you, and that's all you need to know. And I think when we delve deeper into how complex it actually is and how complex the world that God created, I think that can transform the way that we think and the way that we look at God regularly.
Yeah. So I found the that scripture that I was looking for. It's Job 12, 7 through 10, about asking the birds of the air. So I want to dive into the second question, which is how can my life become simpler and more reverent? And I think that's a thing that all of us can do. We like to make things more complex. We like to fill empty holes in our schedule with things that we're doing. We like to fill empty space in our homes with stuff. And you probably, if you just look around your home and start counting the number of things you own, I think probably the biggest way we can make our lives simpler and more reverent is just to get rid of our stuff. That's for me. It's about finding joy, right? The Marie Kondo, finding joy in having less. What do you
Yeah,
think,
and
Russ?
I think for me with the whole idea of being simpler and all that, it's really making sure that I don't fill my schedule too much with things and making sure that I also make time for God. I think that's a huge thing that up until more recently I haven't started doing. And being able to do that on a daily basis definitely honestly makes my life feel simpler just by cutting out that time and making sure that I have it available no matter what's happening. And I think a lot of us lose that and think, I don't have time for God in my life, which is not a good way to look at things. And I think so, making things a little bit simpler in our lives and our schedules and making sure to find that time, especially, will make that kind of happen already.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage everybody, if you can, look at your calendar, block out an hour every day if you can, and say, time for God. It's going to be hard at first, but I think if you can figure out a way to put that in there. And then, the example that we have in Scripture, right, of the Sabbath, block out a day. Block out a day for God. And that's not vacation. That's not time for your family. That's not time for kids. That's a day to find rest and to connect with God.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's the whole point of this daily devotional, is to have something quick, short, easily accessible, that people can use in their quiet time. So hopefully people can start using that and using these videos on a daily basis to kind of carve out that time to make your life just a little bit more simpler, and have this to kind of start your day.
Yep. So if you want to get our videos, make sure you like our channel, subscribe to our channel, be a part of our Facebook community at CrossFire Faith and Gaming. And we will see you tomorrow with day 24, the great chain of being.
See you guys. God bless.
CrossFire.